Welcome to the Between the Fur podcast, the show that allows professional mascot performers from the NBA and other pro sports to share their bizarre, funny and inspirational stories and give exclusive insight on what it's like behind the scenes and between the fur. Hosted by award-winning NBA mascot performer, Kenn Solomon.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Between the Fur. Today we have my good friend, Mark the Legend. I left off the D there. Mark the Legend Randall. Former player, former Mascot Assistant. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, it's good. Bodyguard, everything.
Bodyguard, yeah. And now is a great influencer in the Denver community, works in the school system, and also a community ambassador for the Denver Nuggets.
Ambassador, whatever you want to call it. Community ambassador.
Yes. No, not at all. Good guy, good friend, and we have a little bit of a history, so I had to have him on today. So thanks for being here, Mark.
It's an honor to be here, Ken. Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. So before we get started, let's give a little shout out to sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by Burr Bottles. Crafted with high-quality technology, Burr Bottles are designed to withstand the test of time. With their cup holder-friendly design, you can take them anywhere you go without any hassle. Dive into the world of Burr Bottles at burrbottles.com and witness the fusion of style and sustainability. Make your hydration count. Use code FURBUR for 25% off your order.
So, Mark, I gave you a list. Did you bring your list?
I don't have my list with you.
Oh, good thing I wrote it down. Man, see? This is the story of our relationship right here. Me being on the ball, writing everything down, in an email, and being on time and being organized. And then there's Mark.
And you beat me to the punch. That's exactly how I saw it.
Cade's over here shaking his head.
Oh, jeez. Cade got a little preview last night.
Right? He told me. A preview of upcoming attractions. Well, so Mark, how tall are you, first of all?
I'm 6'8".
6'8"?
Actually, the way I usually tell the kids when I go into the schools and speak with them and read and stuff, because the question comes up quite often that I'll tell them that I'm the same height basically as LeBron and Kobe. I'm just better looking than those fools.
All day long. All day long. Yeah, by the way, my wife has a little crush on you. So she's like, man, he's so cute.
It's the best thing that happened to you. Besides your sons here.
By far. Yep.
And it was fun to be a part of that process as the courtship was going on.
Yes. Oh, good times. All right, so 6'8", played in the NBA, started out in Kansas. Yep. Walk me through that real quick.
I'm actually going to take it back a little bit further because and I'm not going to bore you, and hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm bragging, but I just want you guys to have a little bit of a background on me.
Yeah.
Actually, grew up here in Colorado, went to Cherry Creek High School. Mm-hmm. Then I went away to Kansas. I wound up going to the University of Kansas to play hoops there. Go to school was the first thing, obviously, and that's changed in these day and ages, but went to school there, was fortunate. Things worked well, was playing good basketball at the time, and so I caught the eye of the NBA and became a first-round pick of the Chicago Bulls. That was back in 1991, which seems like forever ago. But it's a blessing, something I wanted to be a professional athlete, wanted to be an NBA player since I was a fourth grader, and worked towards it, and sacrifice, commitment, all those good things, and things worked out that I was able to realize my dream. So
amazing. What was that? What did that feel like when you got drafted?
Well, it's again, we're going back to as a fourth grader. I'll tell a little story here that I like to tell. Fourth grade, my teacher at the time, her name was Mrs. Marcus, and she said, "Hey, I guys want you to pull out piece of paper, and I want you guys to draw what you think you look like. And so I drew myself at the time, tall, gangly, dark hair, spilled a little paint since then. But drew myself what I thought I looked like, and then she said, all right, now I want you guys to flash forward to when you're 25 years old, and we're all like, 25? What are you talking about?
That's so
We're
old.
gonna be, exactly.
Gray hair.
So anyways, she just said, I want you to depict in that picture, I want you guys to draw into that picture what you think you're going to be doing when you're 25 years old. And I didn't even hesitate. I put myself in a Denver Nuggets uniform. And so that to me is where the vision, the dream, it started back then. And I know it's the same, a lot of kids have those same dreams, but it's pretty cool that I was able to put it on paper, put it as a goal, work towards it. And, I grew up with a lot of guys in Denver playing basketball against the best players in Denver that had more talent than I did. That's easy to say. But they just didn't do the things that it took to stay on that path. And, they kind of fell by the wayside, whatever it might have been, drugs, gangs, didn't make the commitment to get to college. And so I was very fortunate to get to that level. And so to be there, I wound up, my agent at the time had told me I could go anywhere from 11th. I think at that year it was the Knicks had the 11th pick, anywhere from there on down. And there wasn't really a consensus. So I was like, I'm not going to the green room. I'm not going to be one of those guys that get caught in the green room when waiting for them to be drafted and just sitting on nails. But so I wound up staying at home and had all my friends in, my high school buddies and stuff. Actually had some friends from out of town came in, family. So it was a big party there at the house. And then when David Stern at the time, our commissioner, came up and said with the 26th pick, the world champion Chicago Bulls select Mark Randall out of Kansas. So to answer your question, it was unbelievable because that was a fulfillment of a dream that I had had for, years and years coming to that point in time. And so to finally say I was drafted was pretty cool.
What I love about that is one of the things that I love about that is that you drew it. You put it on paper.
Yeah.
It
wasn't my idea, so I can't still, but it's pretty cool that, my teacher, and that's something, it's pretty, the cool part about that is that all the things that I've been able to accomplish in my life through athletics, outside, whatever, being a father, all the good things that come, is that I still hear people, you came into our school, you told that story, and now we do the same thing. And we have these kids sit down and put on paper what their visions are and what they want to be when they're 25 years old. So it's pretty cool to hear that, whether I inspired that, whatever. But just, I still have the drawing. My mom passed away several years ago, but the drawing's been passed back to me because she had it. And it's just a cool manifestation how things progressed in life, and to be able to draw back on it, fun thing.
They say that you should write your goals down, or you should have a vision board or something like that if you want to reach something. That's whether you knew it or not, that's what that was, right?
Exactly. It might have been a little bit ahead of my time with the vision board type thing, but it's something that means the world to me. And Mrs. Marcus, I lost contact with her a couple years ago, but always told her thanks because that was one of my driving forces anyway.
Wow. How'd you end up back in Denver?
So my path, I was told you I got drafted by the Bulls. That was a short stay. They were the world champions that year, and they had their entire team coming back for the following year, the year I got drafted. So it was going to be an uphill climb for me to make that team. Scott Williams at the time was one of their power forwards. He was holding out for money. So I got to camp. I made the team. Scott came back. They gave me his contract. Then all of a sudden, Bill Cartwright got hurt. Then he was just coming back. It looked like I was getting ready to go. Craig Hodges got hurt. He came back, and then it was time. I got let go by the Bulls. So I got waived right after Christmas. Went straight from there to the Timberwolves, and I call them the Timber Puppies because back then we weren't quite wolves. They're wolves now because they're pretty good, but back then we were timber. We were still working.
They were
on it.
such a new team.
They were a new team, and at the time they had the second best mascot in the NBA. Crunch, my boy.
Who tried out for my job.
And I did not know that.
There you go. Yep.
Johnny boy, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Didn't know that's cool.
Yeah.
But anyways.
We tried out against each other.
Love it. So anyways, go from Minnesota. Was there for the rest of that season. Next season started with them. Made the team. Got traded to the Pistons. Spent the rest of the season with them. Then I went on to play for Miami Heat briefly. Then I came to the Nuggets. I was here for parts of 3 seasons. And so that was basically was coming back home. I mean, I always spent my off seasons here. Colorado was always my home. It's always going to be my home. But that's when I was playing for the Nuggets, and I was able to reestablish myself here full time. When I got done playing, then I became a scout for the Nuggets for 3 seasons. After that, I was an assistant coach for a year under Jeff Bezdelik. Didn't really care for that. And then that's when kind of morphed into my role working in the community on behalf of the team as a former player, which then brought me to
Dun, dun, dun. Being
working with the super mascot.
Yeah. Crazy how that all rolled out. So I had just had my assistant take off. At the time. And they're like, we're gonna put you with Mark Randall. I was like, wait, or put Mark Randall with me. I was like, wait, first of all, he's a player.
Yeah.
Like, he will always be a player. He's a player.
Yeah.
This is a huge step down for him. This is like, come on. Oh, I looked at it that way. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's nice of you, but
he's going to, he's a player. I could not wrap my head around you and I being paired up together because we were always so separated. Team, mascot.
Yep.
It was, and the players were players.
Right, right.
Everything revolved around the players.
Right. I got you.
Go get me a sandwich. Yes, sir. So, it was something I just could not see happening when they said that. So, the other thing that I thought
I'm going to back up. I'm going to jump in here, not to cut you off.
Oh, but I was going to ask.
I'm sure we'll get back to it, but I'm going to tell you the story on how we did get hooked up. Is that so? At the time, I told you my path here, and after the coaching bit, then I went into community relations. I was a community ambassador, which I still do today and love. But I was in the building full time, Pepsi Center at the time. And so my boss came to me and said, "Hey, we're cutting back in the building cut at the time." So I was like, all right. And does that mean I'm losing my job? And my boss was like, no, it doesn't mean you're losing your job, but we need you to take on a couple other
responsibilities.
Duties, correct? Responsibilities. So one of them was working in-game entertainment. So I was on the mic, doing things in front of everybody at the Pepsi Center, and enjoyed it. And then,
which I thought you were great at.
Well, I appreciate you, buddy. I enjoyed it, actually. It's something that, I don't get uncomfortable in front of a lot of people, and it was pretty cool to be on the mic and have fun and try to get the crowd hyped and whatever. And it also made the seasons pass quickly. As you know, it's just those 82 seasons are long, and you throw in the preseason and the playoffs, and so it just kind of goes. But when you're working basically every other night, then it just kind of makes the time fly by, and it's not horrible watching NBA basketball.
Front row, yeah.
Exactly. So, and then that's when I got tied in with you, and they said, hey, we're going to have you do the appearances for Rocky and for, in-game, all the things that are accomplished with that. And I didn't honestly question it. I wanted my job, basically, is what it came down to.
Right.
It wasn't being presented solely that way, but reading between the lines, it was, you're either going to do these things or you're not going to have a job. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't horrible. I mean, I never looked at it the way that you're looking at it, and you just
Which was
brought
very
it out.
humble of you, because yeah.
But this gets into the deeper things that are about me, is that I'm not better than anybody. And a lot of these players today
you're a better basketball
put
player
off
than I am.
well, yeah, I just proved that. I just proved that I'm better than Rocky at 56.
There you go.
But anyways, yeah, it was just one of those things that I've never looked at myself better than anybody and above anybody. I just I'm a human, and I don't care. I mean, I don't look at it as I'm being belittled as a player, because now I'm going to be working with handling whatever Rocky. It never crossed my mind, honestly. And it was something, you and I had a relationship because you were in the suit back when I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an honor, honestly, to be able to spend the time.
Well,
Now, when we got together, we can talk about that more. But
well, okay. So precluding that, though, I wanted to say this before we get into it. What I quickly realized, let's put it that way, is that when we walked in, I was thinking, how is this going to go? First of all, when we first walk in, say it's a school,
right,
well, who are they going to notice first?
sure.
Because
They're going to notice me because of my size.
right.
But people love Rocky.
So
The state loves Rocky.
But I didn't know, like how, being first person, it was like, man, how is this going to go?
Sure.
It worked out really well, though.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, when we would walk in, man, first, right off the bat, respect. Immediate respect from everybody, including the staff, including, people, whoever it was that we were dealing with and performing for or whatever. Instant respect with Mark. So that was awesome. And then because of just your presence, you speak well also, would get on the mic, introduce, and we would a lot of times give messages and everything. One of the things I appreciated so much, and I know that the teachers and staff of schools appreciated it so much when kids are being, kind of rambunctious or whatever.
Kids.
Mark, I love it. One of his classic things was, so if you're talking, you're not listening.
Yep.
I was like, oh yeah, Mark, go.
That's my big one.
Yeah, if you're talking, you're not listening, and not showing respect. Love that, and we made a good team right out of the gate. I love
Great.
that.
It was fun. It was, and you're speaking about going into different events, and I'd like to think of myself as somebody that, I'm going to make sure everything's set up and good to go, and and the communication. A lot of those places we were going with the schools and stuff, I've already had the communication with those schools backing up to when I was doing my things as I never stopped doing my things as a former player, going into schools and working with organizations and whatever it might be. So I had a lot of those relationships to start with. So that was a natural fit. And so, to go in and, you're the same way. I know it. It's that we're all about the kids. We're all about making them happy. You're in a position where you can, you entertain. It's a gift. I've told you this before, is that, and I tell this to everybody even to this day, is that the gift that you have is that you could be in costume, not say a word, and you could have a conversation with somebody and you'll understand it. And to me, that's a gift. That's not every mascot can do that. And so to be able to walk into a room, get the crowd going, hype it up, and then turn it over to you was a joy, because then you see the excitement on everybody's face. And like I said, I'm not just talking about kids, it's adults too. Just bring joy. So that's part of how I looked at it, is it's just another part of being, in a position that I've been grateful to be in my life and blessed to be in my life. And now I get to pay it forward with the greatest mascot. And I don't say that lightly, because I've been around a lot of them. Greatest mascot of all time. So,
I appreciate that. That's very kind. I'll tell you, there were, when you say we had conversations, I had conversations with people and stuff. I always liked watching you stand off to the side a little bit, and you'd be like, I cannot believe, like a lot of times you just were soaking in those situations, and you got to where you could read my body language, and it was fun.
Well, and that's what, on the bigger picture, now it's been cool to watch homie over here, because I've watched your kids grow up. Mm-hmm. So that's a bigger thing. That's the big picture thing. But to watch your son step into it, and then watching him emulate the things that you perfected essentially in that world, and to watch him, and to see that pride, and I'm beaming with pride too, is watching him. But to see you lay the foundation for your family and for this, this world, mascot world, it's a big thing. I know the size of it. I know what it carries, the weight it carries, and that's why I say, when the state of Colorado knows who Rocky is. The state of Colorado knows a little bit about who Mark Randall is, but not to the level you are. I can say that with confidence. So when we walked into a room, they're going to notice me a little bit, but when I turn it over to the man, then the party starts.
Well, I appreciate that. Very kind. I have to. We did not go through the years that we did without our bumps.
Yeah.
So I
don't know what you're talking about.
Oh man. Okay. So what I said at the beginning about me being the organized one and on time, not quite the case. I learned a lot from Dr. Randall over here. Man, there was a lot of times when he humbled me and would put me in my place, and rightfully so. Man, there was for a long time there, I was showing up to things last minute.
Last minute?
Sometimes past the last minute.
Yep.
Oh man, and Mark would be like, "I've been here for a half hour, man." Like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would put him in an awkward situation a lot of times. And for me, I just was like, hey, I just do what I do, and everybody's happy, and what's the difference?
That's true.
Yeah. So, but it was not right, and a lot of times, I'd stay a couple minutes extra because I was a couple minutes late, which was not right to. Yeah, I'm just exposing everything here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. But,
all right, I was going to expose you anyway.
Yeah. But I might as well say it first. Oh, man. Yeah, I was not the most organized. And it was kind of a crazy time in my life, too.
Sure,
there was a whole lot of mess behind the scenes.
Yep. That was the thing, That's one, I believe that's one, and I'm not saying it's not yours. I'm just saying one of my strengths, I believe, and I've been told several times, so I got to believe it, is I do like to be organized, and I do like to be punctual on time, because that's something, my philosophy, and I know I shared it with you, so you're going to hear it again, is that my time's not more important than anybody's. And so I've always had that instilled in my mind, and so that's That's why I jumped on you a couple times and said, yo, dude, I got stuff I got to do after this. You want me here? You're going to be here on time. And so we don't have to get into all that, but you were receptive of it. And that's one of the things about you, your strengths is you're so creative. I mean, your mind's going constantly and you come up with brilliant things. And that's one of the things that I didn't like about working with you. Not you, but the people that were telling you couldn't do the things that you knew you could do and you knew would be successful. So
we did have
that was a frustrating part of that,
wasn't it? Yeah, that just I remember that now. You were always saying, "Oh my gosh, come on, seriously?"
Yeah, and some of them I understood. From safety, I got it, but I'm not going to name names on here. But a couple of guys that were kind of putting things down, I was like, well, you got to kind of catch the edge a little bit, and that's what makes Rocky.
It's that was very well put.
Yep.
If you just let me do what I do, I'll knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
You know? And there was a I won't name names either, but there was a moment not too long ago that I had a serious conversation with somebody in management.
Sure.
And I'm like, look, you could, if you would just trust, just let me do what I do.
Yep.
I said, honestly, when have I let you down? When have I ruined something? When have I, now there are some, we can't get into the weeds there too much, but there's, hey, from a safety standpoint, yes, I understand some of those things.
Yep.
But let's work around it then.
Try to anyway.
Yeah.
Let's
Don't
figure
just
out
shut me down.
And that's the thing is in your career, that's unfortunately where the world's gone.
Oh.
I can't say unfortunately because I'm in the world that I work in now with young kids and in Denver public schools. We have to look out for the safety of those kids.
Sure.
And it's a cover your ass society now. That's just how it is. And, businesses are no different. They have to look at it that way. But there were some of the things that you were bringing forward that you were talking about. And, personally, I knew you had it handled. Personally, I knew the safety component was thought and was brought into the whole deal too. But, again, I'm not trying to slam management, because they were good to me in a lot of ways also. But that was just one of the things that I know your creativity. I know your boundaries because you've been doing it forever. So you know what you can do, you can get away with. But I know it's frustrating. It was frustrating for you, but being in basically working with you and doing all the things that I was doing and friendship that we've had, that it was just tough to see that some of the hurdles that you had to get over.
Yeah, lots of hoops. Speaking of one of the things that we did together, I have a huge blown up picture that you're in.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Incriminating?
Mm-hmm. But it's you standing under the hoop with a big old pad on your shoulder for the 3-point line.
I remember.
Dunk on rollerblades. Ever practicing that?
Before you even I totally remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Landing control.
It was great. So the idea was to have this big slingshot that we use for slingshot bowling.
Yep.
Have these guys stretch the slingshot out. I'm in position on the other end of the court in the scoop of it. What do you call that?
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody holding that back. I'm on rollerblades holding the bands. Those guys run to a certain mark, stretching the bungee.
Yep. Getting the tension just right.
Mm-hmm. And then the guy behind me letting go and firing down the court, going off a ramp from the 3-point line.
Yep.
And then dunking it. Now, Mark's rolling all
with
this.
no pads on the end.
No pads on the end, just a landing pad.
Yep. No.
But we did learn that I could shoot off to the side.
Pretty easily.
Pretty easily. So things could go awry. Practice was crazy. I still have a scar from practice.
Oh, I believe it, dude.
Yeah. And so in case I veered towards the team, Mark was right there to shoulder me back in with this big pad. He was just going to put his body weight into it. Oh, get me back on the pad from the air.
Which I had a lot of practice at that point in time because I had already done my coaching gig, and we used those pads. I think we talked about that already, but so when I was coaching, we had Nene, and Nene was just a beast.
I talked to him the other day.
He's such a good dude.
He is so great. He reached out to me.
Yeah. Oh, he's been great. We follow each other on socials or whatever, but he the funny thing is those pads, I used them in practice because when the guys were working on low post moves, I'd get in there and bump them, and so it was simulating that they were getting hit by the basket, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would always back up, and he'd be like, "Mark, can you stop hitting me so hard?" I'm like, "Buddy, that's what I'm supposed to be doing." But I had good practice at it.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, and you were at the right height too. Just
Well, I had to get low, a little bit lower. Just Rocky's down there a little bit lower.
Yeah. So it was great. That was a fun. Yeah, we'll maybe put this up on.
Dude, that's the thing about
one of the reels.
There's so many skits. There's so many things that's that we can sit and argue it all we want with whoever, but there's a lot of people I know because I talk about it that go to the games specifically to see Rocky. So, and the fact that you come up with what you came up with and are still doing it, it's impressive. I mean, there's skits and skits and skits, and my favorite one when we were working together was when you went up almost touching the scoreboard with your head on the half court shot.
Oh yeah.
So then I got to actually fire the balls up there and show my skills. So
man, you were the one that started that with me, and you would fire those balls up there. No one as accurate. When you stopped doing when we were stopped working together, I was like, man, who is gonna throw?
Big Jeff, he's doing.
He got it. He got it later on, but he was not there at first.
That's a skill, man. You got to throw that thing up right in front of your face, so you can't. It's got to be there, so it lands right in your hands.
Yep.
You got limited vision. Can't throw it right at your head like I do normally playing with a player.
Right.
Yep.
Man.
But it's fun. It was fun to be a part of that, and it was fun working with you. I enjoyed it.
Man.
When you were on time.
Yeah. So, little lesson, just in general, okay, for those listeners out there, if you're in management, let people do what they do, right? That's we've already talked about that, okay? Play to strengths, right? Okay.
Amen.
So we were in an office one day having a little, there was three of us in there, Sean, you, and me, and
Tribal Touch, that a boy.
Yeah.
Shout out
to Tribal Touch, who is now with Phoenix. So we were sitting there, and they're like, you were saying, hey man, you got to be better on emails. You got to be better on all this. And I was like, okay, yes, time, yes, absolutely. But I'm telling you, I cannot handle all the emails. I don't communicate well that way. And yeah, sure enough, you were like, fair enough. Yeah.
Got it.
I got that. Yeah. You're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do. And I so much appreciated that. I'll tell you another time I appreciated something. I was going through another divorce. I've only gone through 2, sorry.
Yep.
But I was going through another divorce, and I was man, it was rough. But good thing I had you, man. I'm telling you, good old Mark would listen and then get me out of the van for an appearance and keep me above water there.
Yeah, we had good conversations.
Yeah,
before
we
you
did.
Sprang out of the van for the fun.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Good
I said,
stuff.
it's life. We've gone through it. seemingly together just because I said you were in
some
suit
of
back when I was playing, and
some of that we
your
parallel.
kids grow has been unbelievable. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Watch your kids grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Went through
Mark's
divorce.
got 2. Yep. Man.
I don't think you can say the same thing, but my ex is my best friend still.
Hey, one of my exes is
That's good.
Come around. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking.
I like to hear that.
It's
Good
fine.
for you.
Yeah, things are good now. And so that's the boy's mom. Yep.
Nice.
Things are good now.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So, what's next for Mark?
Well, that's we didn't get into it in depth what I'm doing now, but I left Kroenke full time 7 years ago now, I think. That's pretty close anyway. 5 years ago, gentleman, John Andrew, who I know you've met him several times, but John's a good friend of mine. We're the same age. He's been working for DPS 32 years. He's retired now, but he had approached me, man, it was even before that. I was still working full-time at Kroenke at the time, but he said, have you ever considered being a athletic director? And I said, wow, never really thought about it, but there's a good fit. So kind of went through the process. You have to have some kind of certification because, especially in Denver public schools, all our ADs are assistant principals first and then ADs second. So that's just part of the gig. I didn't have the licensure to be a assistant principal, so that was something at the time I could work at it and become an AD, work and try to figure out how ADs run. So anyways, interviewed for a couple different schools. They didn't work out timing-wise, whatever, but then a position opened within the district office for DPS athletics. Perfect fit. Been doing that now for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years at the end of June. Love what I do. Again, ultimately, we touched on it here in the podcast, is that ultimately it's about bringing joy to kids. And, got the kids I'm doing schedules, officials, getting parks from Denver Parks and Rec. So some of our bigger schools, older schools, East High School, TJ, North, all those schools where they don't have the space on campus, then we get them park space so they can practice in the parks. And so ultimately, and this is the deeper part of me, I feel like I've got a purpose in life. I've got a fulfillment of that where it's just, I like going to work. I mean, I enjoy it. My job's fantastic. There's times where I'm slammed and going hard because we're starting seasons, or we have preseason meetings with our coaches. We meet with our ADs as a group once a month, our board of control. But then there's times where it kind of slows down a little bit, and so then I can hop on a plane and do the things that I like to do, travel, go play golf. My brother lives down in Florida, so I go visit him quite often. And if I'm sitting on a beach, life's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. You're doing what you love. You're true to yourself.
I agree.
I love that.
Appreciate that.
Good example for kids.
It's something, again, goes back to I'm not any different than anybody else. I was fortunate that I was a fourth grader and drew myself in a picture, and I was able to realize that dream. But, just because I got to the NBA doesn't put me on a pedestal. I don't look at myself that way. I'm same person that's got to pay taxes and go to the grocery store and put my pants on the same way everybody else does. That's just who I am.
I knew right away when you were a player that you were down to earth.
I appreciate that.
You didn't carry yourself like some of these guys do.
I'm glad, because that's exactly how I want it to be.
Yeah.
The best compliment I ever got was from my former boss, who's still my current boss. I still do things for the Kroenke Sports, which I'm grateful for. But she looked me in the eye and she says, you don't act like a player. And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I want it. And thank you.
There was a point where, again, Mark and I had a serious conversation, and he brought that reality, that human reality, to light for me, put things in perspective for me. And I don't remember exactly the words, but I remember what you said. And it was basically, hey, look, remember, you won't do this forever.
Yeah.
You're not going to be this forever.
Sure.
You've got to understand and prepare for what's to come.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And you know it, because I'm not going to say I don't have an ego, and I'm not saying you have one either, but as a person that is in the spotlight constantly, and then all of a sudden you're out of it.
It's weird.
I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for me.
I'll speak for me. It's weird.
It's different.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to adjust it a little bit. And I'm not going to lie. It was nice to walk into a room and, hey, there's Mark Randall from the Denver Nuggets, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't take me long after that to realize I'm like, I'd rather not be that person. I'd rather just be, hey, this is Mark Randall. I don't really know you and whatever. I'm like, perfect. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. That's really a humble way to live. And I appreciate that about you, but I will also say that, no, you still have a presence when, people walk in, they're like, that's Mark Randall right there. But what's great about it is that you back it up with your personality. And that is something I've tried to emulate and live by really since that talk.
Yep.
And it's I would rather be known for more than just that.
Yep. Perfect.
Good guy.
That's exactly
how
I think. That's exactly. And I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's
a good example for me. And it was a good example for my boys as well, because I've tried to somewhat pass that on.
And you've done a good job, because you got good ones.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
You too, man. I got to, after this, I want to catch up on them and see
I
all
was blessed with 2 kids and daughter that's working towards being a physician's assistant. And my son just told me last night he wants to go back to school and start working on that a little bit. He's the younger one. So daughter got through college last year. So it's just,
oh my gosh.
That's the understatement. Asking homie over here how old he was.
Right?
Said he was 28. Give me a break.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How old's your daughter now?
Oldest is 25.
She's
Son turns 23 next week, actually.
Wow, I knew that they were 2 years apart. So
yep.
25. Wow.
Yeah, you guys were just little squats.
Yeah.
Running around on the court.
Yep.
The mini Rockies.
Yep. YMCA.
Yep.
Yeah, you helped me dress them for a few of those.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate you being on here. I really appreciate the man that you are, the help that you've provided me, my family, and the community, because it's never ending with you.
Well, and again, this is a spiritual side of me, is that you were a gift to this world, and you were a gift to this Denver community in a special way, and you carried that torch very well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. It was awesome, dude.
I try and live up to that, but thank you.
And your son is doing it now, and that's fantastic. Maybe you got to cut that out, but
I'm not puffing out my chest at all or anything. So yeah, he's doing.
Excuse me, sons.
Yeah,
you guys are all doing it. Yep,
yeah, crazy. And one in Detroit as well.
Yep,
crazy.
So.
Hey, thank you so much. Any last words?
Yep. Appreciate you having me, and again, honored that you would ask, and I get to come out and have some fun with you.
Yeah, man. If people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Just you can get through me. Either you can still go through Kroenke Sports, the community relations department, or you
ask
can
for Deb Dowling.
Ask for Deb Dowling. She'll get a hold of me, or Heather Garcia. Mm-hmm. Or you can just reach out to Denver Public Schools, Mark Randall, Mark_Randall at dpsk12.net. Come right to me.
Right on. Thanks, man. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too, brother.
All right. Peace.
Goodbye.
Welcome to, thank you.
In 3, 2, 1.
I always forget to like and subscribe and hit that. Yeah,
that's the important part.
Whatever.
You're not going to do it?
Thanks for listening to Between the Fur. Peace.
Thank you for listening. And now you know that there is a person inside there a living, breathing human with emotions and feelings. If you would like your friends and family to know what is between the fur, please share. See you next time on Between the Fur.